Hey guys, Rip the Rage here. Hope you're having a fantastic day, and welcome back to another segment on treadmill thoughts. Today, not really today, it's the thing with the thoughts is they kind of just bubble in the back of my brain, and then eventually the bubble bursts and it like comes to the front, you know? And I think that's how it is with like every thought you have the subconscious and the conscious level. So this one wasn't really a today thought. This was actually from when I started going back to the gym. I started doing it as a way to just do something, you know, since I've been out of a job. I'm like, you know what, I got the time. I used to work nights, so I couldn't come in here and access the gym, like I used to. I had a different schedule, different sleeping schedule. And then when I started working nights, and it was like, okay, well, you know, I'm coming home later, so I either got to hit the gym in the morning before I go to work, and then it's the whole thing. So I would end up doing my cardio outside whenever I came home. But that kind of, was like, okay, I couldn't go to the gym, right? Because it would be locked up after hours at some point. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure, you can only get in here with a key fob anyway. So it's like, what are you locking it for? And the only people in here are going to be people that live here. So I don't know, the stupidity of, leasing offices and such. But the thing I've been thinking about is like, why am I doing this exactly, right? And this comes from before I started doing it. I'm like, well, what's the point of doing anything? Shouldn't I just lay in bed and do whatever and blah, blah, blah. And I kind of did that for a while. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm reapplying to jobs and all that, cool. I need to stay fit because my job was pretty sedentary, but there was a decent bit of motion during the day at peak times of like, I had shit to actually do and walk around and stand up and all that. And so it kept me pretty limber, but I'm like, okay, let me get back to the gym, hit it hard and try to do some stuff. And I just kept thinking, why am I doing this, right? Like, I don't want to live to be 100. Obviously, that's not even on my bucket list. I think, honestly, in terms of human lifespan, I think it would be great if you could just get like 50 decent years and then just, hey, happy birthday, 50, you're dead. Like, you get 50 great years of life, right? I think that should be for everybody. Everybody should just be like, yep, 50, that's pretty good. You grow up, you have a chance to have some kids. You have a chance to see those kids start having their own kids, and then it's like, okay, well, grandpa's going away now. But no, it's just one of those things like, okay, I don't want to live forever. I don't want to be super fit and beautiful and all this shit, like as in like Fight Club's idea of thing. In Fight Club, there's a scene where they talk about, they're sort of mocking the fitness industry and how masculinity is sold to men in a consumerist way. You see this a lot with Andrew Tate and all his hyper masculine bullshit nowadays. But back then it was Tommy Hilfiger, Calvin Klein, these type of like male model physiques, And it's the same thing today. It's just repackaged in a different way by grifters. And that like, I know a lot of people get inspired by him, but I also hate David Goggins too. I don't hate him as a person. I hate what he does, because what he does is promote the idea that you just got to do it. You got to be fit. Why? You have to find purpose. If you don't have purpose, your actions mean nothing. To do something without purpose, right? Why do you make your bed? It's a good question. Doesn't really matter if you made your bed or not, Well, it keeps it tidy. Okay. Same reason you sweep your floor. Part of hygiene, right? It's a lower level of hygiene. It's, if you don't make your bed, is the whole house gonna burn down? No. But it's that certain level. And I can see that angle of it. But at the same time, you're going a little too hard. Like, yeah, get up and hit the gym and all this. It's like, that's just as toxic, right? Toxic positivity is actually worse for you than negative too. Like having a negative thought about something is the psyche's like coping mechanism, right? There's a problem and you want to fix it. And so you say, okay, what am I feeling about this problem? Well, I feel negatively about the problem. Okay, if you feel negatively about a problem, then you want to fix the problem so you don't feel negative anymore, right? If you have toxic positivity and you say, oh yeah, dude, yeah, no, that's just life, it's fine. No, it's not fine. Because if you just learn to deal with it in a positive way and stay upbeat, then you're not going to solve any problems and the world will continue to get worse, right? This is what's led to our current situation. Everybody ignored it because it was okay, it was tolerable, and now we have this shit going on. And by this shit, I mean the whole fucking thing, right? The whole gesture to everything in the entire world right now. That's how we got here. But yeah, no, they would mock it in Fight Club. They had this idea of Tommy, I believe the narrator says, like the main character guy in Fight Club, he says something. What's the exact quote? It's something along the lines of, "I felt bad for guys packed in gyms trying to look the way that Tommy Hilfiger, Calvin Klein said they should," and they just, they're like, why? Why are you doing this? So it's not for vanity, right? So it's not for vanity. I gotta do it over here. I'm used to the square format of streaming, but it's not for vanity, right? It's not for health. Health is the side effect of exercise. Is it for depression? Kind of. I mean, it's something to do, gets me out of the house so I'm not sitting in my room all the time. Even if I'm doing something productive like doing art or whatever, it's still, I'm in the same area. This gets me up and about and it gives me kind of direction. So a little bit of that, but really what it is preparedness, right? The idea that, I'm gonna go down swinging one day. We all are. That's just reality at this point. If you don't see that, I'm sorry, you're delusional. But push is going to come to shove eventually, right? Tripping over my own tongue here. Push will come to shove eventually, right? When that happens, what are you going to do? Are you going to flail around and hope your body responds, or are your muscles going to be a little tighter? Now, this doesn't mean you need to be Olympic level like bodybuilder or whatever. And those guys are actually pretty weak. They actually don't have a lot of power compared to guys that do cardio and calisthenics and all this other shit that has to do with your core and things. Those guys are, it's funny. Go watch some of the videos of where they put bodybuilders like Eddie Hall, strongest man in the world, and they put him up against a guy that's like tiny guy, but he's like all lean muscle, So the other guys, they're doing pull-ups and everything just fine, and he can flex his body. Eddie Hall's over here like, he can't do anything, bro, because all of his strength is in a different region. But yeah, back to the main point. So it's gonna pop off eventually. Something is gonna happen, right? And that's not me doomsaying or anything like that of like, oh, everything's gonna be terrible, So if you're gonna die, you might as well die on your feet, right? Like that's the end. We all die eventually. I take the very Klingon look of life. If you don't know the Klingons, Star Trek Klingons, right? Everybody knows Star Trek. So the Klingons are, they were at a certain point a warrior society, and then they started to transition away from that at a certain point in the story. But they have a very strong culture, and not just physically. Like it's not all about physical; it's also mental strength, right? They're very much, warriors in the sense they need to be. They're based on the Japanese, right? They're based on the Japanese samurai. If you even look at their uniforms, they look. The way Klingons dress and the way they appear, they feel very shogun, That's what Roddenberry was inspired by, right? He was inspired by the Imperial Japanese. And he designed the Klingons as this sort of reflection, right? As with any of the races in Star Trek. They were a reflection of man. And what you have when you take a Klingon philosophy in life is you start leading a life based on honor, right? Trying not to be deceitful and all these things. Learning to embrace failure, right? And if the situation is hopeless, you go down with the ship, but you do it beautifully, right? Death is not, to the Klingons, a horrible thing. It is a wonderful thing, except if you die of old age. If you die of old age, that means you didn't die a glorious death. You died, weak and infirmed, right? Your body gave out on you, and now you're just this old man, right? Again, warrior mindset, right? And they do have some points to it, right? If you're going to go down, you go down swinging. And you need to practice every day. Again, they're very cultural people, too. They have arts and everything. They have other degrees than actually. In Star Trek Enterprise, it's funny. There's a thing where they go to the Klingon homeworld and they talk to Klingons and whatever. And this is before the Federation, right? Before Kirk and all that. And they talk to them. And the doctor from the Enterprise is talking to the Klingon doctor or whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, are you surprised to hear that my son is, a scholar or something? It's like, did you think we were all warriors? There are facets to their culture, right? There are different levels to it. But even the warriors practice, the good ones anyway, the smart ones. They, like Worf is a good example of this, where he finds the balance between being a warrior and honoring his heritage as a Klingon, and then also embracing Federation values and higher learning and things, and being, bringing a little bit of classical stoicism, not modern stoicism. Modern stoicism is ass, bro. It's, again, the Andrew Tate's, the David Goggins, just, yeah, push through it and be a man. No. So why do I do this? Why do I do gym? Again, I exercise simply because, to just cut straight to the point, one day I'm probably going to have to kick a Nazi in the face, and I'd rather my leg not, like, give out on me after. So it's, if that day comes, right, there's a really good quote. I love this. I don't remember exactly where it's from, but I fucking love it. There's a thing, somebody said, it was like, don't fight, or if you have to fight like the third monkey on the ramp to the ark, and brother, it just started raining. It's like, that's my philosophy as well. It's like, that's what I was taught. Like, that's what comes from my grandpa, a lot of my moral stuff comes from him. One of the things he did teach us was never start anything, but finish everything, right? I ain't gonna start shit, right? The whole world can burn, I don't care. You guys can burn it down if you want to, right? I will laugh at the flames, right? Because I simply don't care. However, if some shit goes down, and I need to be in a position, right? If I'm in a position to help somebody when that shit goes down, right? I'm gonna help them. Why? They're a human being, except for the Nazis. Nazis, fuck those guys. And I'm sure YouTube won't like this, or won't even show this video to anybody because I'm saying the bad word, even though I'm talking shit and I'm saying fuck those guys entirely. But yeah, they're taking the Japanese approach to no, don't speak about anything. What the fuck? Okay, whatever. But yeah, so yeah, that's the basics. Is if you're gonna go to the gym, maybe go like I do. You go simply because it's something to do, keeps your mind wired straight, and my one goal with this, like I said, keep my body spry, keep it limber, and be ready to, chuck some Molotovs if I have to, beat back some dudes, if it comes to that, go down swinging, basically.